Sound City, it just couldn't keep up.
Started selling off the gear in Studio B.
I thought that board would just go straight to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I'm trying to move on, but it's been hard.
Like many things, there's no bookstore, there's no music store, and there's no Sound City.
In this age of technology, where you can manipulate anything, how do we retain that human element?
Let's rock, let's play, let's record.
Be true to yourself and make the music that you love.
Chemistry is something that happens between people.
The conversation became something much bigger. How do we keep music to sound like people?
It sort of like evolves until it hits this point and maybe goes.
Now that you have the Neve console in your own studio,
yes,
it's yours. So you're keeping this ghost, this whatever still haunts us about Sound City.
Yeah.
It's close to you. I guess it's costing you more than the 76 grand it cost them when they bought it. But
yeah, just a little
yes,
bit.
Just a little bit. Is it painful? No.
No. Well, I mean, you know, it's funny that those desks too, especially those early ones, like they're all a little different. They're not all the same. Mm-hmm. And what each one does to an instrument or a sound is all a little different. So they do embellish the sound in a way that makes it kind of richer or fuller, whatever it is. Neil actually said something so cool. It was so hard to edit this movie. Because you can imagine, like, I sat down with Stevie Nicks and talked about Fleetwood Mac for 2.5 hours, and I got a Fleetwood Mac movie, you know? And then I talked to Neil Young about analog and digital, and I got that whole so every single person I talked to. But in talking to Neil about digital sound versus analog, he made this really cool analogy where he said, you know, it's kind of like looking at a mountain, taking a picture of it with a digital camera versus looking at its reflection in a lake, and how in that everything is kind of connected, and like everything's sort of connected together. And that's what I feel like it's the same as the story of Sound City, all the way from Joe Gottfried and Tom Skeeter to Trent Reznor 40 years later. Like, it's all kind of connected. And when you tell those stories, it gives all of that music more depth. Like, I learned that from the Foo Fighters documentary we made. We made a documentary called Back and Forth, and it was directed by this brilliant guy, James Small. And the movie came out, at first I thought, well, who f***ing cares? Like, who gives a shit about our story? We're, you know.
No, only those quadrillion people. Yes, right.
But so, the movie came out, and all of a sudden our band was f***ing huge. And I realized, and people on the street would walk up and say, you know, I saw the movie, it was great, I had no idea. And in that, they saw us as human beings, and it sort of gave this new appreciation or depth to our band's music, because they saw us as people. And so this is where music and film, I think, really comes together in a way that benefits both. Like music videos, make a fucking movie of the story of your life, and then write an album. And I guarantee you, people will listen to that album in an entirely different way than had they just heard the record. It gives so much more depth and like humanity to what you do, you know. So
well, you bring that out. You're bringing out the human side of everything that's in this. But you say that about people. How do people now in your life today look at you? Who did they think Dave Grohl is?
God, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. You know, people don't see me on the street and go, "Oh my God, it's Dave Grohl." They go, "What's up, Dave?" And then my wife will say, "Do you know that guy?" I'm like, "I don't know," because I think people just sort of see me as like a dude. You know, I don't get like creepy fishnet stalkers like Marilyn Manson would. I get like construction workers, Dave, yeah. You know, I get like guys in fire trucks going like, so. I'm perfect. Great. I'm cool with that, dude.
They're no liking problem. It. They're relating to it.
Absolutely. But well, that's, you know, it's Springsteen had a great quote, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but you know, as an artist, you want your audience to see themselves in you. You know, like it's that connection. When the Foo Fighters, when I jump out on stage, it's not like I'm not Freddie Mercury, but I'll bring 80,000 people together to sing one song because they all feel sort of the same. you know, and yeah, I mean it's.
But you're trying. This is a movie where you're trying to get that live feeling that you have when you're playing music with other musicians.
Yes.
Into something that's recorded,
right?
Which is the impossible thing to do.
It's not easy.
Not easy, but you're doing it.
I mean, to find the day that Paul McCartney came to the studio was a perfect example. That's like the perfect day in the studio, not just because it's Paul McCartney. They had a lot to do with it. But
it helps.
When you walk into the room, Chris Novoselic and Pat, who played with me in Nirvana, they didn't know Paul. They'd never met, and we didn't have a song, but we all got in and started playing. By the end of the day, we had this thing, and it was like this big, noisy masterpiece that had no one ever heard it, it still would have been the coolest song I'd ever recorded because it was that moment, you know. And that's you know, capturing those moments, that's whether it's just to tape or whether it's on film, that's the challenge. I mean, why document something if it's not worth it?
And you
magic,
documented
you know?
it. I mean, so in closing this, I want to ask you as the director, as the filmmaker that's looked at this a million times now. That's what you do when you make a movie, right? You're in the editing room forever looking at it. What is sticking in your head from your own movie? What's that one thing that's in there if you had to pick one? I know there's a million.
It's the intro where I say, we were just kids, but we had these songs and we had these dreams and we just threw it into the back of an old van and started driving. Because that can apply to every single musician in the film. It can apply to Paul and Neil and Stevie, Rage Against the Machine, every single person. And it's exactly that ties all of us together in the story of Sound City, that we're just kids that grew up loving music, and you know, look at us now.
Look at you now, indeed. Well, we end the show all the time, and it just happens that you're a musician, but I always end it in some little bit of song. So if you were thinking of something in your head musically that says what Sound City means to you, even if it's not a Dave Grohl song, what is it? What comes to you?
Oh my God.
I don't know that song.
I think I'd have to go with Let It Be. Let It Be is, I always thought that if we could send one song into space so that another civilization and another planet could understand us as human beings, it would be Let It Be. And
so can I hear a little bit of that?
Oh God, I don't want to sing right now in front of everyone.
Everyone, no one's here. Just me.
Just you. What's a good verse? There will be an answer, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Ta-da.
Ta-da, ta-da. Thank you for giving us some answers with this.
Thanks
it's
a lot.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Good to meet you.
This is really a good movie.
I'm glad you liked it.